this Sonic game needs to be saved. But before we get into this, if you're a Sonic fan, subscribe right now. So recently, Sega came out with an entire Sonic timeline featuring all the canon Sonic games. Now, this timeline is really cool, and one thing all the games in here have in common is that they all have a physical release. Besides one. You see, the only reason I'm bringing this up because there's one Sonic game on here that still hasn't gotten a proper physical release. And that game in question is no other than Sonic 4. And you may be thinking why I'm even bringing this up, and that's because this timeline for every game, it shows what system you can play it on. And the problem with Sonic 4 is that 5 out of the 6 systems it released on, you can no longer purchase it. The only current system you could purchase it on is the Xbox Series X. While it is also on Steam, I do not recommend you get those unless you're good with modding. And that's because the Steam versions are so outdated and Sega hasn't updated them in years. And it was most recently that they took Sonic 4 off iOS and Android stores, which is kind of like the final nail in the coffin for this game. Which is why these games desperately need to be re-released by Sega. I'd prefer if Sega did a physical copy, but even if they just re-uploaded them to the current digital stores, that would be just as good too. I think it's worth mentioning that back in 2012, after the release of Episode 2, Sega did a physical release for the soundtrack, which that would have been the perfect time for them to do a physical release for the game too. Even though a lot of people dislike Sonic 4, I think it's been long enough now that they could re-release this game with an Episode 3 potentially, and a lot of people would get it. Because eventually, when the next gen Xbox releases, who knows if it'll even be on that? Hopefully in the future Sega will re-release these games because there's a lot of people, including myself, which would love to see that. But for now, that's all. Comment down below, what do you guys think about this?